Yai da 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 da, yai da 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 da, yai da 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 da, yai 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 da I was trying to decide if we wanted another round of yai-da-dais. I think we're good. I think we're good.
We're great.
I think we are phenomenal. This is one of those days where we're like running towards Shabbat, and Shabbat's like, not yet, not yet. We're like, wait, come here, come here.
I think it's the opposite.
Shabbat's just ready and waiting, and we're like, not yet. You're right, it's true. Yeah. I got it wrong. Alas. We're going to invite Jennifer Marcoux to join us and offer a welcome on behalf of the board.
Thank you very much. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Chag
Sameach.
We welcome you to TBT this evening. My name is Jennifer Marcoux. I am on the TBT board, and on behalf of the board, welcome. If you have any questions about the temple, please don't hesitate to catch me at the Oneg afterwards. So nice to see lots of familiar faces. We had a wonderful event last Sunday, a Seder here, and I saw a lot of familiar faces as well as met new people. So I'd love to meet new people. I'd also like to thank Madeline, who I think is our guest sermonist tonight. So I look forward to your words of wisdom. So welcome, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Kayla. Kayla, is my mic on? Yeah? Great. Okay. Let Marshall know if you can't hear me, okay? Great. I'm just kidding, Marshall. Oh, goodness. How was your lead up to Shabbat, Rabbi Dusty?
There was a small child in my lead up to Shabbat.
Yeah.
And my favorite moment of the time with the small child in the building was when her guacamole-covered hands grasped my dress.
Ooh, yeah.
As my husband was like, can you hold her while I get paper napkins? And the answer was yes. And I don't know if you can see any guacamole, but we managed to do okay. Yeah, there you go. I smell like avocado, so it could be worse. That was my lead up to Shabbat. How was your lead up to Shabbat this week?
My lead up this week or today?
Today.
It's good. It's good. I saw llamas today.
You saw llamas?
I know. I went to go visit one of our congregants.
Who has llamas?
No. But
Darn.
lives at a place where they brought in llamas. I don't know.
I'm now jealous.
And it would have been enough, Kayla, Diana, seeing llamas. Diana.
Mm-hmm.
So, great.
I would actually really like to just go around and ask each of you like one thing that was part of the lead up to your Shabbat. Since that would take the entire time that we are planning to be here, instead, I would love to hear afterwards if you have a particular moment in your day that felt either like a lead up toward Shabbat or perhaps something that was part of Shabbat being like, I'm ready, and you being like, I'm not yet. Whatever one it is, I'd love to hear. We would each, I'm sure, love to hear.
Oh, yes.
But for now, we have arrived at the moment where we get to stop running toward whatever it is or away from whatever it is and get still and arrive. So on page 3, we'll offer a blessing before kindling Shabbat lights. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we by our lives give light to all who behold us. Join me. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light. We're going to get the dramatic lighting today. We've got the full wick on each side. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu le'adlik ner shel Shabbat. And before we offer Kiddush, we fill our metaphorical cup with simchas from each of you before we bless and sanctify on the already mostly full cup of grape juice. So, do we have any simchas from this week? I know we have at least one. Yes. 5 years, 3 rounds of applications, 1 medical withdrawal later. Having been admitted to UW Law School for almost 2025. Phenomenal. Any other? Yes. All right. Mazel tov. Yeah. Happy birthday. Listen, don't listen, but I didn't used to be a birthday person, and I have become one. So I will celebrate your birthday on your behalf, regardless of whether you feel like celebrating it yourself. Happy birthday. Any other simchas? Yeah. It has been beautiful out. I have an apple tree in the backyard, and there was a morning when it was all still buds, and by the afternoon, they turned into blossoms, and it was so cool to watch that literal change happen in real time. Spring in Seattle is hard to beat. So in honor of spring and law school and birthdays and great-grandchildren and all sorts of other things, we'll offer Kiddush, page 5. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu Zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit ki hu yom techila mikra'e kodesh zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim ki vanu v'acharta ve'otanu ki dashta mikol hamim v'shabbat Kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat.
L'chaim. We're going to turn to
L'chaim.
page 13 now as we join together in one of our psalms welcoming in Shabbat. page 13, Shirul Adonai.
Shirul Adonai kol haaretz. Shirul Adonai shir chadash. Shirul Adonai kol haaretz. Shirul Adonai shir chadash. Sing unto God, all the earth, a new song. I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God, and we'll all sing along. All the earth, a new song unto God. Shirul Adonai kol haaretz. Shirul Adonai shir chadash. So the summer after I graduated from high school, I made my first trip to Israel. I was volunteering at a regional day camp near Ashkelon, which, for those of you who are not familiar with Israel, is somewhat akin to the Arkansas of Israel. I was there for a whole summer, and we had weekends to do whatever we wanted to. And if you're in Israel, you don't want to be in Arkansas for all of your weekends. So we traveled to Jerusalem one weekend, and I spent a Shabbat at an all-women hostel called Heritage House that offers, among other things, free, authentic Shabbat experiences. That's how it exists currently on their website, almost 20 years later. For me, this was a place to stay for free, and free food in the heart of Jerusalem. And my 18-year-old self was like, yes, sign me up, I'm in. Long story short, during the afternoon downtime, we had this long conversation with the people who worked there, and I encountered for the first time Jewish anti-gay rhetoric, which totally shook me because, if you'll recall, I was 18, which means I'd only really experienced Judaism here with Cantor David Serkenpool and Rabbi Michael Latz as totally normative experiences of what Judaism meant. And for those of you who have not been here for 38, 9, 10, a million years, like many of us in this room, Cantor David and Rabbi Michael Latz are both like proud out gay men, and it was incredibly normal for that to be part of my Jewish experience. And so at 18 in Israel, I had one of these first moments that I think we all have at various points of having to grapple with and kind of complexify my narrative, both of Judaism and how much exists within Judaism, and of what Judaism in Israel can look like. 6 years later, I returned to Israel, again in Jerusalem. I arrived in late June for my first year of rabbinic school. And one of my first experiences in the city with all of my classmates was marching in the Jerusalem Pride Parade, which marched directly past my apartment and went onward to the Knesset. It was exactly what you would imagine. It was vibrant, it was joyful, it was a celebration. We all came home sweaty and smiley and proud. And this is Israel. Both of those experiences are still entirely possible. I went to check whether you could still stay at Heritage House. You can. And while I believe in the importance of people's ability to have either of those experiences, it will perhaps not surprise you to know that I'm far more interested in furthering more opportunities for the latter experience that I was able to have. Later tonight, we'll have an opportunity to learn from Madeline, who is serving as captain this year for Temple B'nai Torah's campaign to get as many members as possible to vote in this year's World Zionist Congress elections. She will say far more about how we can all help support and what that means. For now, as we prepare for Lahadodi, the prayer invites us to imagine the arrival of Shabbat as the meeting of two beloveds under the chuppah, the wedding canopy. And Israel, just like Judaism, just like all of us, is complex and made up of many and varied pieces. And in welcoming Shabbat, we get to imagine a world where all of that complexity and variation comes together beautifully, like true partners in a relationship. Long before the state of Israel was established, the land of Israel, the particular geographic location, was a crossroads and a meeting point for deeply differing peoples and cultures. And something deep in the sand and the sea and the olive trees has been beckoning people for millennia, inviting us into relationship. And so my prayer as we begin tonight and as we prepare to welcome in the Shabbat bride is that we all may one day welcome all into Jerusalem with us, with as much joy and relief as we welcome in Shabbat. Continue with the words of Lahadodi on page 20.
Likrat kala pene Shabbat Kabbalat lecha dodi Likrat kala pene Shabbat Kabbalat Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad Hishmianu el hamichad Adonai echad u'shmo echad L'shemo tiferet v'litchila lecha dodi Likrat kala pene Shabbat Kabbalat lecha dodi Likrat kala pene Shabbat Kabbalat Likrat Shabbat lechunecha ki mekor habracha merosh mikadem nesucha sof ma'aseh b'machshavat techila lecha dodi Likrat kala pene Shabbat Kabbalat lecha dodi Likrat kala pene Shabbat Kabbalat Itorari kiva orech kumi ori uri shir daberi kevod Adonai alayich nigla lecha dodi Likrat kala pene Shabbat Kabbalat lecha dodi Likrat kala pene Shabbat Kabbalat Boi v'shalom ateret b'avala Gam b'simcha ub'tohola Tochem ulei am segula Boi chala lecha dodi Likrat kala pene Shabbat Kabbalat lecha dodi Likrat kala pene Shabbat Kabbalat.
Continue on page 28 with the words of Baruch Hu. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Vaed. You may be seated. Continue on page 30 with words to bring on the evening, though you don't have to rush it, son. You can stay out as long as you need. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim bechokma poteach sharim uvitvuna mishane itim umachalif et hazmanim umesader et hakochavim b'mishmerotehem barkia kirtzono borei yom v'layla borei yom v'layla kolel or mibnei choshech v'choshech mibnei or uma'avir yom u'mevir layla mavdil ben yom u'vein layla Adonai tzvaot shemo Yada 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 Achai v'kayam Tamid yimloch aleinu leolam vaed. Baruch atah Adonai Amariv aravim. Amen. On page 33, we offer words in the middle of the page together. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol. All these things your Torah gives to us. And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works and the living language that gives it form? Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha V'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinatam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha v'derech Uvshokbecha uvkumecha Ukshartam leot al yadecha והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Adonai Elohechem.
Emet. You're going to a place.
I am going to a place. That place is page 342.
342?
Yes.
It's a lot of pages from where we
I
are now.
know. It sure is. So last week, Madeline excitedly came up to us and said, "It's Passover. Are you going to sing Miriam's song?" And I said, "No, sorry. That was not in our plan." But I figured it was appropriate tonight because tomorrow it is Shabbat, but it is also the seventh day of Passover. And so for the seventh day of Passover, the tradition, which we will do here, is to read from the Song of the Sea, the song that tells the story of where we get Michamocha, and then we get the story of Miriam. This is a midrash, I think, on that. So we're going to start on page 342. We'll sing Miriam's song, and then we will move from that into Michamocha when it's relevant. Rabbi Dusty, you can tell them what page, just flippity-flop, too.
I will. It's 40, and I'll probably say it as we're going as well, just to remind us.
Going where?
Across the sea.
Okay.
And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one who we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced, they danced the whole night long.
Ready?
And Miriam was a weaver of unique variety. The tapestry she wove was one which sang our history. With every thread and every strand she crafted her delight. A woman touched with spirit, she dances towards the light. 1, 2, 3. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one who we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced, they danced the whole night long.
And Miriam stood upon the shore
And gazed across the seas, the wonder of this miracle she soon came to believe. Whoever thought the sea would part with an outstretched hand, and we would pass to freedom and march to the promised land. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one who we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced, they danced the whole night long. Final verse.
Yep.
And Miriam the prophet took her timbrel in her hand, and all the women followed her just as she had planned. And Miriam raised her voice in song, she sang with praise and might. We've just lived through a miracle, we're gonna dance tonight. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one who we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced, they danced all night long. Page 40. Malachutecha ra'uvanecha bokei ayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam ze Elianu ve'amru ze Elianu very joyful.
It was. I almost was going to ask you to act your
Oh.
song out. If you weren't at the Passover Seder on Sunday, Rabbi
You should have been.
Dusty got many props. Many props. Oh, goodness. So Rabbi Dusty shared a little bit about one of her experiences in Israel. And I also went to Israel as a teenager a few years before. And I did the semester in Israel with the Reform Movement, which then was called EIE. And I often joke about how we had so much freedom that they would never imagine giving the kids today. So I was one of the last semesters. I'm going to try and untangle myself for a second here. So I'm not. Give me a moment. Be worth it. Okay. There we go. There we go. Whee! We did it. Speaking of freedom, free from my guitar. I was one of the last semesters where we lived in Jerusalem in a hostel before they moved to a kibbutz, to Kibbutz Suba. And when we wanted to go out into Jerusalem, we just had to write our names on a piece of paper, and then we could go out. And so things that would never happen today. So despite having a lot of freedom in that way, it still was very much a program curated by the Reform Movement. And so they got to choose who we met with and interacted with and learned from. And one of the things I remember learning early on was meeting with Rabbi Uri Regev. Irony, then I went to school with his son, Yoni Regev, who was at that time the leader of the World Union for Progressive Judaism, which works along with the Israel movement for progressive Judaism. And we got these bumper stickers I still have on one of my guitar cases. And it says in Hebrew, there's more than one way to be Jewish. And I remember getting that and loving that bumper sticker and feeling like, yeah, obviously, there's so many ways to be Jewish, and feeling like it really spoke to me. And in my semester in Israel as a high schooler, we learned about many things, but I didn't have maybe those same experiences like Rabbi Dusty talked about of like really face-to-face, having interactions with people who were different. I sort of was taught this narrative of like, Israel is a really rich, diverse place that has all sorts of Judaism, and like, how amazing is this? Then 10 years later, went back to Israel to start rabbinical school. And like Rabbi Dusty, one of my first memories of getting there was participating in a protest. And it turns out there are many, many protests often in Israel. And I expected that returning there 10 years later, probably things would have moved progressively towards more liberal, more accepting, more diverse. And whether it was my own experiences differing or the world changing, and now what we know about the world based on where we are now, probably it was a lot of the world changing. I actually came face to face with a lot of experiences where I was so frustrated with how polarized Israeli society had become. So many of the protests were around things that I just couldn't even believe that these were things that were issues that we were still protesting. And so one of the first things that happened was had an experience that Rabbi Dusty also had. I'm sure, I think most rabbinic students have in their year in Israel, which is going to participate in Women of the Wall, which is an organization that does once a month at Rosh Chodesh. They go to the Western Wall and try to go to a very particular area called Robinson's Arch, where they do a Rosh Chodesh service and read Torah and lead prayers, and it is all led by women. And so early on in my year there, a young woman had gotten arrested at Women of the Wall at the Rosh Chodesh service for the horrible crime of wearing a talit and holding a Torah. And it turned out that actually this is a pretty common occurrence at Women of the Wall, because the Orthodox communities that are there, especially in the old city at the Western Wall, really don't like women wearing tali tot and leading services and singing out loud and holding Torahs and things like that. And so there was a protesting this woman's arrest. So we went to the protest and filled the streets. And I remember being really moved and also sweaty with by how many people were there and how many different people. And just feeling this, like, I don't know if it was like disconnect or just like really confused, because here I was around these people who were all wanting that diversity, and yet, like, still the most common thing is that people know Orthodox or secular and don't even understand or know other things. You know, how many times you get in a cab or whatever and they're like trying to explain to them that you're Reform, and they're like, how's that? Like, they have no idea what you're talking about. And so felt like that was a space that was a really positive space for me, being in a protest like that, and then feeling very dismayed in the next few weeks, realizing how little coverage it got. The protest, the arrest, the protest, almost nothing. There was one article that I was aware of about it, in which they call out the person who got arrested for being a stupid woman, foolish woman, trying to do these things. So it certainly was not a positive thing. So that has stuck with me, especially as Madeline's going to talk about, with the importance of the work specifically with the World Zionist Congress, because there are so many issues to tackle around Israel, and they're all heightened right now. And then there are things like basic women's rights, and basic rights for LGBTQ people. And, that for me, the reason I care so much about the elections and why I want to keep, voting and pushing for things like that, obviously don't live in Israel, but it all comes back to that bumper sticker to me, that idea that there's more than way to be Jewish, and that Israel is supposed to represent that. That is the Israel that I believe in, that it's a place where it's not just about the Orthodox having it one way or Orthodox versus secular. And in our Talmud class this week, which I reference often, in our Talmud class this week, we got to a section where we came to a very common phrase, or it's actually one word that comes up in the Talmud. The word is teku. What? Did you say teku? Mm-hmm. It is a great word. We got to teku. And when you get to a moment where it says teku in the Talmud, that is because they have exhausted all the arguments. Takes a while. They've gone through all the things on whatever the issue is. And teku means, like, let it stand. And to me, teku is essentially, we have debated this to death, and we still don't agree, and we don't have an answer. That's okay. We're good. There is space to hold that tension, and there is space to just let it be without having to, like, not everything can be solved, and not everything has a quote-unquote right answer. And so that idea of teku, for me, is also kind of like, could be embodied in that idea of there's more than one way to be Jewish, and what, in my mind, a vibrant Israel would look like, where it is totally okay that there are different communities that, like the Heritage House, can stand teku. They can stand, and also other places like Women of the Wall can stand. And so that's the Israel that I personally am continuing to push for and fight for. So we're going to continue now with our prayer, Hashkivenu. We're going to go to page 43 and join together in this English version which Noah Aronson has put a melody to this English version of Hashkivenu. Hashkivenu is our prayer asking for God to create a Sukkot Shalom over us. We often talk about a talit as that symbol of shelter, of peace. We put a talit over our kids when we bless them at camp. We put a talit over our chuppah. And so I'm wearing my Women of the Wall talit tonight in honor of the work that they do to protect so many women, so many people's rights, and to remind us of the importance of doing that work together. And in the vein of the words of this version of Hashkivenu, working for shared understanding. Let me grab my So, I'm joined together. Left side, page 43. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Ashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Ashkivenu, Leshalom. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms.
Continue with the Shamru, page 44.
Yeah, Bashamru, you're right.
Is that true?
It's
true.
totally true.
This time I read it right.
Yep, nope,
Last
you
week
did.
I ignored the
in
cue
my
sheet
head,
entirely.
You
I had no
said
idea
you
what was
were-
happening.
In my head, you were introducing the Amidana. I was
Oh.
waiting for the Please Rise. There's no Please Rise.
Don't rise yet.
Unless you're one of those people that does the
Oh,
up
that's
and
true.
down.
Don't rise.
What?
It's still Passover.
Yeah.
Indeed. It's not time yet. Shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam v'rit olam v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam v'rit olam B'nei Yisrael, B'nei Yisrael, Oti le'olam, V'shamru B'nei Yisrael, et ha-Shabbat, Lasot et ha-Shabbat, Ledorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim, Asa Adonai, Asa Adonai, et ha-shamayim ve'et ha'aretz v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. U'bayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayinafash Shabbat vayinafash Shabbat vayinafash v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. though it is still Passover, invite you to rise for the Amidah. Page 46.
Adonai,
Sifatai tiftach ufia ki tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avoteinu v'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah. Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei HaKol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, U'Mevi Gula Livnei V'neihem, Lema'an Shemo B'Ahava, Melech Ozer Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam
Adonai,
Mechayeh HaKol atah Rav Lehoshia, Mashiv HaRuach U'Morid HaGashem, U'Mechayim Bechesed, Mechayeh HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Verofech Olim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato Lishenei Afar, Micha Mocha Baal Gevurot, Umidom Melech, Melech Memit Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, Emanat Al Chayot HaKol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol. Atah Kadosh V'Shem HaKadosh, U'Kadoshim B'Chol Yom Yihalu Chasela. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
Lemanachai v'rei, Lemanachai v'rei, Atabrana, Atabrana, Shalom. To all of my brothers and friends, to all of my sisters and friends, please let me speak, please let me sing, peace to you. This is the house of the Lord. I wish the best for you. Adabrana, Adabrana, Shalom Bach, Leman Beit Adonai Eloheinu, Avak Shatov Lach, Leman Beit Adonai Eloheinu, Avak Shatov Lach. This is the house of the Lord. I wish the best for you. This is the house of the Lord. I wish the best for you.
Take a moment in each service to think of those in our lives, in our families, in our circles of people that we care about, who are in need of healing. I will offer the names aloud of those we are thinking of collectively in our community tonight, and then invite you to add any names of people you are thinking of. And we'll offer a prayer for healing together. So today we're thinking of Jacqueline Tara Smith, Deborah Rose, Eileen Kreisman, Ronnie Haber, Ellen Gottlieb, Vanessa Bianco, Paul McCready, Glenn Letts, Carl Wilhite, Ginny Gaston, Cindy Balin, Patty Newby, Joe Giordano, Janine Morris, Ron Louie, Sally Waldison, Marnie Good, Sylvia Angel, Marion Laird, Sheldon Robert, William Stangler, Lisa Bush, Patricia Barber, Kyle Asadorian, Paul Norris, Stephen Thrasher, Julie Dorfman, Laura Halper, Elizabeth Simons, Bob Cook, Tora Knapp, Jason Getler, John Huttenhoss, Nina Schechter, Alan Schwartz, Amanda Young, Sean Stangler, and Lisa and Jessica Abbott. Are there any additional names? I invite you to share those now. For all those names and those we hold in our hearts, we offer together the words of healing on page 253.
We're going to join it together in a version that blends, by Rick Reck, that blends the words of Mishaberach at the top of page 253 along with the words that Moses cried out when his sister Miriam was sick, El Na Rafana La. So we'll start with those words. El Na Rafana La, Refuah Shlema, El Na Rafana La. Please heal this soul. El Na Rafana La, Refuah Shlema, El Na Rafana La. Please heal this soul. Misha Berach, Avotenu Imotenu, Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Sarah, Rachel, Leah, El Na Rafana La, Refuah Shlema, El Na Rafana La. Please heal this soul. With faith and love, together we bring hope and healing for those in need. Without judgment, without explanation, we are all God's creation. El Na Rafana
invite Madeline to join us on the bima.
Hello, everyone, and Shabbat Shalom. I believe passionately in the need for Jewish self-governance. Much of my family tree was wiped out during the Holocaust at a time when most of the world turned their back on Jewish refugees. Those of my family members who survived came to the United States, where they married into Jewish families already here and found assimilation safer than admitting their Jewish identity. As a consequence, my mother did not know she was Jewish until she did genealogy while pregnant with me. I did not have the benefit of growing up with an extended Jewish family. Instead, I grew up knowing the dangers of anti-Semitism and persecution of Jewish people. For me, Israel is the refuge my family didn't have. Israel gives us a place to go when the rest of the world turns their backs. I believe it is the responsibility of all Jews to help shape Israel into a place that we can be proud of. I am here tonight to talk to you about the World Zionist Congress elections. Elections are well underway for this year's cycle, with the deadline to vote on May 4th. I strongly urge you to vote for the Reform Slate, which includes recognition of Jewish identity for those with parents or grandparents of any gender who are Jewish. They support LGBTQIA+ rights, an issue close to my queer heart, women's rights, democracy for all in Israel, and an end to settlements in Palestinian territory, which would be a major step toward a lasting peace in the region. I know the word Zionism has become politically and emotionally charged in the recent years, so let me suggest the following definition of Zionism based on my own research and beliefs. Zionism is the movement for first the establishment and now the development and protection of a Jewish nation in the land of Israel. It is the belief in the right of Jews to a homeland, to self-determination, and to self-governance. Zionism does not give Jews the right to kill or expel other people residing in the land, nor does it justify the atrocities the Israeli government is currently committing in Gaza. With that in mind, let me explain what the World Zionist Congress is. The World Zionist Congress is the governing body of the World Zionist Organization, a non-governmental organization which has significant influence over Israeli politics, with over $1 billion in their annual budget. The World Zionist Organization, or WZO, was founded in 1897 to promote Zionism. It was heavily influential in the establishment of the State of Israel, having already developed many of the administrative institutions needed. Today, the World Zionist Organization controls a budget of over $1 billion and supports and funds programs and projects in Israel, including promoting Jewish educational programs worldwide, facilitating Aliyah, Jewish immigration to Israel, commemorating the Holocaust, supporting primarily Orthodox Jewish communities in the diaspora, and funding settlements in Jewish territories. Elections for the World Zionist Congress are held every 5 years, with all Jewish U.S. citizens over 18 eligible to vote. Last cycle, the far-right Orthodox community turned out in huge numbers, and as a consequence, the politics of the WZO have trended strongly Orthodox, including by banning stipends for non-Orthodox rabbis, limiting recognition of Jewish identity to those who adhere to their restrictive definition of Jewish law, and lastly, and perhaps most troublingly, they have advocated for and provided funding for settlers in West Bank territories outside of Israeli sovereignty. I can pronounce things. As American Jews, we have both a right and a responsibility to vote in the World Zionist Congress elections to make our voices heard. As Reform Jews, I urge you to support the Reform Slate, slate number 3 on the ballot, to push back against those who would be exclusionary, who would support authoritarianism, and who would force others from their homes. Your vote for the Reform Slate will help restore support for Reform rabbis and congregations around the world. Voting is so easy, you can do it from your phone. I meant to have a flyer to show you, but I don't have them. They're in that hall. And I'll be by the table afterward. There are 2 stacks on a table in the social hall where I'll be. You scan the QR code and you follow the instructions, or you take a flyer home and do it from your computer. There is a $5 administrative fee which goes toward administering these elections and helps prevent duplicate votes. Each method of payment can only be used by up to 3 people. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. I will be here after services to answer them. This week we are celebrating Passover, the liberation of our people from Egypt and setting out in search of our promised land. Israel is our homeland, the promised land. We are taught it belongs not to us but to God, and that what we are given is the sacred task of governing that land responsibly and ethically. It is for us to stand up and welcome all our Jewish family and to support democracy both here and in Israel. It is a mitzvah for us to welcome strangers as our own, as we were once strangers in the land of Egypt. So too, we must recognize those who inhabit a land as having a rightful claim to that land and learn to live side by side in peace. Let's get out the vote. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Madeline. And now she can breathe. So please feel free to find Madeline after services, and I know Rabbi Molly and I also are happy. And Janice are also, and Carol Schuster. Many people here are happy to answer your questions if you have them, or to talk more about any of this. But for now, it's time to count the Omer. I love counting the Omer. It's the silliest thing, because all that you have to do is literally say what day of the Omer it is. That's what, checks the box. And I don't know why it gives me so much joy, but it really, really does. It's on page 278. Oh, I took it all the way over here and put it all the way in the corner. You're doing it.
Oh, okay.
Go for
I'm
it.
doing this. All right. We're going to join together first in the blessing. If you'd like to join me, Baruch Atah Adonai
Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sfirat ha'omer.
So today, just to give you a heads up, is the 6th day, Shisha, so you can fill in the blanks, sort of, although this is phrased a little awkwardly, because we're not yet into the weeks. So how about I'll say it once. I'll say it once, and then we can say it together. So we say Hayom Shisha Yamim LaOmer. So Hayom, today, Shisha Yamim LaOmer.
LaOmer.
Let's do it all one more time.
Hayom Shisha Yamim LaOmer.
And then we say in English, today is
6 days of the Omer. It gets extra complicated tomorrow when it becomes 7 days, which is 1 week of the Omer, because of course the rabbis who take you all over the place take you here too, and they couldn't decide whether you counted the days or the weeks, so we count both.
True. Rabbi Dusty, I have been texting Rabbi Dusty lately with children's songs that I've decided it's time for Charlie to know.
I'm learning them.
Do you know the Sesame Street song, Number of the Day?
No.
Oh, because I feel like this is not, there's a whole song. The number of the day is
6.
6. Yeah, this will not. I will be sending this to you later.
Great.
It will change your life because now you can
More
just do
learning.
that.
More
That's
learning,
the
more
Omer
counting.
day.
It's going to be great. So excited. Shall we continue?
I guess so, yeah.
With Aleinu, perhaps
Yeah.
even?
Let's do it. 283.
Is it on page 283?
Sure is.
It is. That's what we're on. And even though it is still Passover, you are invited to rise again.
Then you get to recline after.
Yeah.
Aleinu l'shabech
Ladon hakol, latet gedula leotzer breshit, shehu sam chelkenu leached et shemo, v'gor aleinu lehamlich malchuto, v'anachnu korim, umishtachavim umodim, lifnei melech, malchei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch hu. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. You may be seated.
You may be seated. We're going to turn now to page 294 as we take a moment at the end of our service to remember loved ones that we lost either at this time in years past or in the recent 30 days. And on this Shabbat, we are in the first 7 days, the Shiva period, mourning the loss of Elaine Slotnick, sister of Jack Bookie and sister-in-law to Frankie Bookie. Elaine was either one, now I'm forgetting, 101 or 102, one of those things. The Bookies have really good genes, if you don't know this. And Jack's shared some very sweet memories of his older sister that he has only ever known a life with his older sister Elaine, so thinking of them. And we are in the 30-day period, the Shloshim period, mourning the loss of Daryl Finesilver, brother of Vicky Finesilver Quinn, and Stephanie Kahn, the loved one, good friend of Robin Negrin. We're also observing yahrzeits this Shabbat of loved ones that died at this time in years past, and we're remembering Mayor Levin, Jake C. Morris, Ray Averton, Abraham Eisner, Elaine Hendrickson, Saul Jacobson, Ellen Cantor, Saul Horowitz, Kathleen Johnson, Dolores Rosenberg, Edith Cookie Cohen, Aaron Charles Jones, Beatrice Simon, Nora Joan Clark, Betty Robinson, Wayne Droker, Ruchel Zeiger, Rochelle Dishon, Murray Goldberg, Jack Silver, and Richard C. Silver. If there are other loved ones that you're remembering tonight, or if I mispronounce a name, I invite you to share now. If you're online, please share in the chat. If you're able, I invite you to rise one last time as we join together in support of those who are in mourning. The words of Mourner's Kaddish on page 294.
Yikadal v'yikadash shmei Rabbah, v'yalmad divrach chirtei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayachon uv'yomechon uv'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'gala u'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam u'almei amaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shmei d'kudusha brichu, La'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiram ve'alma v'imru amin. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amin. Oseh shalom b'imromav, huya aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amin.
Be seated. Is that okay?
I'll allow it.
I'm gonna grab my guitar in enough time. I could just leave it on.
Oseh shalom b'imromav, huya aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam.
We're consistently inconsistent.
Mm-hmm. I think it's me. I think I'm really
No,
bad at doing the
it's
same
not.
thing every time. when I walked in tonight, I was like, where's the challah? Oh. It's like the saddest reminder.
It's so flat.
So
what
flat.
Happened? Didn't
Womp,
have time to
womp.
rise. Womp, womp.
Should we wait? We're going to go
The
and see
question
what
is,
happens.
will Kayla be very
Will- right.
disappointed? Kayla's gonna be like, I'm not doing
She's going to come in the doors and just turn around and walk back out. Who knows? Either way, here we go. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz al te'avon.
Shabbat
Shabbat
shalom,
shalom.
everybody. And yasher koach again
Please
to
make sure
Madeline.
to have a little bit of matzah. Did you get your matzah yet today? Oh, great. You can have more if you want. Don't worry. I don't think it's in high demand. Would you like some more?
I have chocolate matzah on the ferry.
We had chocolate matzah already, so I'm impressed that you took any of that.
I know. Why didn't we
Yeah.
get chocolate matzah?
In the car on the ferry.
Amazing. That sounds great.
Yeah, Grandpa said
What more could you want? Chocolate matzah in the car on the ferry. Shabbat shalom.
yeah,